Okay, this is a little list here. This was made 5 months ago. I'll credit Sebastian St. James as being the channel that provided this information. The long and short of it is, this is the dividend payouts ranking from highest to lowest as of 5 months ago. As I was saying in another video, Fortescue Metal tends to be around 17%, maybe 17.2. Today I actually had a look, it's 17.72%. That's the highest it's been. It was about, highest it's been about a month or so. It was about that a month ago, it dropped down, it's back up again. Technically, it actually means the share price is down. So therefore, your dividend yield, like your dollars in versus, percentage paid back, is 17.7%. In this, you'll see it's 12.68%. That's because this is 5 months old. That's right, you're reading the top one correctly there. That is a 40.8% dividend yield. That is absolutely bloody mind-blowing. And when you say things like this, people will just sneer and say, oh, that's just a scam. And in essence, I'm not saying they're wrong. What happens in a lot of these cases is you have places that are, let's be quite honest, they've got a real big couple of issues. And for idiots who don't look into anything, they might invest in this. They bring these dividends up high to encourage people to invest, to raise their share price. Because in the background, COG Financial Services might be dealing with some sort of subprime bloody car finance bullshit that's going sour fast, or some blasted loans to welfare recipients, or payday loans, or some sort of a real snaky heap of crap. They could have invested in something that went down like an absolute sack of crap, and they're fending off bankruptcy. So what they do is they raise the dividends to a ridiculously high price to encourage people to come in. Now, here in Australia, amongst the top 10, the 4 big banks are publicly listed, and they're actually amongst about the top 7 best dividend payers. But at the end of the day, it's one of these things, do you really trust, after seeing what happened to Lehman Brothers and seeing that China is about to basically have something twice as bad as the GFC? That's the prediction. We've had a lot of business involvement and dealings with China. They're the main people we export to and the main people we import from. Now, when you sort of look at how much involvement we've got with Chinese buying houses in Australia, is something like a magnitude of 10-fold what the real estate is that they buy in America. It's completely serious, 10 times the amount. It's one of these things. We've got a lot of sort of close business relationships, which the politics has sort of been hurting some of those, because we export a lot of stuff to them. The thing is, our stuff is often exported to them because we're close to them, but it's also very high quality. So they decided to screw us on a few things, particularly crayfish, like lobster, and things like that. And they thought they were going to make us kiss their ass, only to find out that we found another lobster market 6 months later, and it all just rebounded. But I did have a chance to get cheap lobster here for a while. One of these things, when you're making high quality product and you've got other people that are willing to buy it on the basis it's high quality, they can't sort of squeeze you as hard as they think they can, but they still bloody try. Getting off track, but how much of COG Financial Services has their fingers in the Chinese real estate market? Like the buildings in China, like the ones that are falling to bits and tipping over, and yeah. You got to wonder, and I don't really trust the banks in this country, because I don't know how many fingers they got in the Chinese pie that's about to fall off the kitchen table. But having said that, I think I've heard of Fenix Resources and not a great deal of others here. But this just sort of shows you, your expected earnings of some of your higher ones, of which I wouldn't touch anything with an investment or financial written in the damn thing. But that's just me. I've heard of Grange Resources. I think I've heard of Yancoal. Never heard of Jupiter Mines. Magellan, I've heard of them, financial group. But as I said, anything with investment, financial, or securities, I kind of wonder. I'd rather stick with miners because they've got an actual product. And, out in the desert here we have flash floods. Almost all the mines here are on government land. Some are actually on Aboriginal land, which we technically call native title. It's to do with what was known as the Mabo decision, where, they have tribal rights over certain areas of land, which are usually way out in the middle of bloody nowhere. And some mines operate on Aboriginal land. And of course, the Aboriginals themselves get huge dividends when these mines do operate there. But a lot of them are just sort of government land that's just a bloody desert. And so quite often, these, they're paying some bullshit token thing to the government, and it means nothing to have a mining claim here in the desert. It's no big deal. It doesn't really cost overheads. If the share price, if the actual iron ore price goes bad or whatever resource they're mining, they put it into caretaker mode. When it rains once or twice a year in the desert, it can rain to the point of flash floods. So they have a couple of guys, usually a diesel mechanic and electrician, who sit out in these mines, and if it floods, they just pump the water out, and they make sure that nothing's sort of tarp everything up so it's not getting rained on, so, the birds aren't chewing the power cables, to keep the dust out, because there's, occasional dust storms out in the desert and all that. They just maintain everything and just really protect the equipment. But there's literally only 2 or 3 guys, though, no more than 5 guys will be at a mine. That's an enormous mine, just caretaking it. It costs them almost nothing to caretake these mines. And so they're great investment, brilliant investment. And, I remember the old saying of during the GFC, just before that, they used to have all this basket of subprime stuff, and they used to, it was all these little funds and investment securities they had, which was all this subprime crapola, and the nickname used to be, it's a bag of investments, and they used to actually nickname it the colostomy bag of investments, because they knew so much of this stuff was subprime stuff. It was just going downhill, and I look at some of these high dividend paying financial stuff, and I just think of those days and think, yeah, not for me.